I want to talk some Tennessee basketball because Tennessee, how will they handle being number one when they visit Miami? I think it's good that you have leadership on this team. This is not a group of a bunch of one and dones like John Calipari likes to put together. I think they have some leadership in Ziegler and some other older players. So I'm not really concerned about their leadership. You phrased the question like this, Caleb. Are you? I mean, because yes, it is a young basketball team. Anybody can get the big head, but boy, if you're thinking about what you're doing in early December, then you've got your eye on the wrong prize.
Yes. So Tennessee, you're right. And that's sorry, I was just pulling up the lines real quick from FanDuel. But Tennessee is they were number 3 last week, so they enter Monday likely number 1 across all rankings everywhere. And at that ranking, Tennessee is going to visit Miami, not visit, face Miami on Tuesday in the Jimmy V Classic, which is going to be a game in I'm trying to pull it up now, but it's going to be a game in Madison Square Garden. They're going to play it at the Garden Tuesday evening at 6:30 against Miami when Tennessee.
It's not like they're playing at the Powell Middle School gym. How did you not know it was at the Garden?
Because I forgot where the Jimmy V Classic is.
No, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so Miami, and it's going to be on ESPN.
It's the most popular basketball venue in the world, but anyway.
It's going to be on ESPN, and I'm just going to say Miami is a very, very bad basketball team. They have lost 6 straight going into this game. They are 3-6. They've lost to Drake, Oklahoma State, VCU, Charleston Southern, Arkansas, and Clemson in their last 6 games. So they are not a good basketball team. However, the question becomes, how do you, if you're Tennessee, handle the expectations of being number 1? Because Dave, can I give you a you like to give Uncle Dave stories? Can I give you a history lesson on my own? And I'm not
Cousin Caleb story.
Cousin Caleb. There we go. Yeah, right. Sounds younger. Sounds fresher, right?
Yes.
2008, Tennessee plays Memphis in basketball. Tennessee's number 2. Memphis is number 1. They go to Memphis. They beat them at Memphis. It's the biggest college basketball regular season game I've ever witnessed in the state of Tennessee. You remember that game, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Tennessee's number 1 on Monday. What do? They lose to Vanderbilt on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. But that was a good Vanderbilt team. I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to win against Miami and then they're just suddenly going to win it all, and that's going to propel them to Hoosier-like heights.
Okay, I agree. But Dave, 2019 becomes the second time in history they reached number 1. They reached number 1. Their first game at number 1 is at a very bad Vanderbilt team. A Vanderbilt team that finished 9-23 and 0-18 in SEC play. And they still needed 43 points from Grant Williams, including 24 free throws made. He made all 24, by the way, in an incredibly clutch game to beat them in overtime that day. So, and that was not the Vanderbilt team you're talking about the first time they were number 1. This was a bad Vanderbilt team. Once you hit number 1, man, it becomes really hard to deal with that pressure immediately. And particularly if you're not used to it.
Really?
Why did they almost lose to Vanderbilt in 2019? A bad Vanderbilt team.
Well, I mean, I think that they spent a lot of emotional energy in that Memphis game. I don't think just because you have number 1 next to your name that
I'm not talking about the Memphis
I don't
game.
believe in that whole other teams give you their best shot. Tennessee's already at that level. People know that.
I'm not.
Yes.
I'm not talking about Memphis of 2008. I'm talking about 2019, where they didn't have an emotional win to get to number 1. They just climbed the ladder to get to number 1 as other teams lost. And then their first game as number 1, they almost lost to a bad Vanderbilt team with Grant Williams.
Listen, if Rick Barnes doesn't know his way to navigate around that old trick and that pitfall, then I would be stunned. He's a 70-year-old man. I mean, I think that's just everything you gave me. I think is just coincidence. Do you really believe that they get number 1? And you're talking about over a series of players. These aren't just one player. It's not just one player, but you're talking about, because you would have to be saying that Rick Barnes gets the heebie-jeebies when he's number 1. Is that what you're telling me?
I think sometimes players do when they're not used to being number 1. And also, and I'm going to say this, college basketball is very similar to college football in this way, in that you are not always what your record says. Okay. So I want to point that out because Miami's on a 6-game losing streak, Dave. Every team they have lost to has been relatively close, and they're all really, 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 really good. Except for Clemson, where they lost by 10. But Clemson's 9-1. Clemson's 9-1.
So are you arguing that they're losing because they feel the pressure of falling outside the top 25, or that they average 9 turnovers per game?
I'm arguing that Miami's better than their 3-6 record indicates, and that they could be capable of pulling off an upset here or there, and that they'll be excited to play the number 1 team, and that Tennessee may, having had a long layoff, may feel themselves a little bit being number 1 and could be in danger of losing this game if they're not careful.
Okay.
Now,
seems like a little bit of a reach to me. I'm just going to tell you.
Now, let me tell it to you this way.
Tennessee's going to beat them by 30 points.
Okay, and I could see that too, by the way. Let me give you one thing in Tennessee's favor that actually the other team don't have. You talk about one and dones being a problem. It's not that one and dones are the problem. It's that one and done freshmen are a problem. Tennessee, it's not about team chemistry. That Tennessee team in 2018, 2019 was loaded with chemistry because those guys had been there for 3 and 4 years, but the biggest stars were 3-year guys, juniors. The biggest stars on this year's team, Dave, are 5th-year seniors. Now, you were in college. I was in college. You've covered college athletes. I've covered college athletes. Let's be honest, Dave. There is a gigantic difference in maturity between a 5th-year senior and a true junior, right?
That's very true.
This Tennessee team is led by Chaz Lanier, a 5th-year transfer senior. Igor Milicic, a 5th-year transfer senior. Zakai Ziegler is a 4th-year senior, playing very good basketball right now. Darlington Dubar is getting worked into the lineup, is a 5th-year transfer senior. This team is led, the newcomers are 5th-year transfer seniors. It's not about the chemistry. It's that these guys are way too mature to let themselves slip up, I think, more than anything else. And I think maturity matters a lot.
Still, unless they just got lucky. I mean, you talk about, if I take any 12 people, the chances that I'm going to have great team chemistry are about 1 in 1,000. I read books about hiring people. I mean, just the odds are, I'm just telling you that one could not be as engaged as another. And maybe that's where Darlington Dubar is.
Yeah, but see, here's the difference between, like, and I know which people talk about that all the time, like running a sports team, like running a business and hiring people. You want to know the biggest difference, Dave?
What's that?
When we run this, for instance, our channel, we're in competition with ourselves, right?
Right.
That's all we're in competition for. We're focusing on ourselves. When you're running sports, it's actually an advantage. You're in competition with other people. And when you're in competition with other people, it's not that you have to have good team chemistry. You just have to have better team chemistry than everybody else. And so I think that that's kind of the thing with college basketball is, and I also think these 5th-year seniors, the maturity level they have relative to the chemistry needed. What's the one I always bring up? Your 2008 Celtics that won the title that year with 66 wins. No one thought those 3 could work together immediately. But they all were so mature, they were willing to just sacrifice major parts of their game that they had played throughout their whole careers. And they came together to go win a title that year.